Welcome to Legends and Leaders, Biographies Everyone Should Know, narrated and conceptualized by Miss Rennu. Learning about influential figures is very critical as we live in a world which has been impacted by their contributions. Without their struggles, without their triumphs, we would not be where we are. These short podcast stories simply serve as a reminder that greatness comes not just from fame, but from perseverance, vision, and the courage to make a difference. Be sure to listen to all the amazing people we talk about. You will be inspired. Today, we will learn about the journey of Neil Armstrong and Edwin Aldrin Jr. They were the first people to walk on the moon. For many years, people gazed at the moon and dreamt of a day when they might be able to travel there in a spaceship. The dream seemed impossible until 1957. That year, the Soviet Union, now split into Russia and other countries, sent the satellite Sputnik into space. A year later, the US government started the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, now known as NASA. NASA hired scientists, engineers, factory workers, and pilots called astronauts. Did you know the word astronaut means sailor in the stars? The early 1960s were exciting. The Soviet Union and the United States raced to see who could accomplish the most in space. In 1969, the United States sent the Apollo 11 lunar module 238,000 miles away to the moon. People on Earth watched on TV as astronaut Neil Armstrong climbed down from the spacecraft. He was the first person to set foot on the moon. People heard him say, "That's one small step for a man and one giant leap for mankind." Astronaut Edwin Aldrin Jr. followed 18 minutes later. The two astronauts planted a flag on the moon. Walking on the moon felt odd because there's little gravity there. Gravity is a force that pulls people to the ground. Because there is less gravity on the moon than on Earth, the astronauts bounced when they walked. Because there is no air on the moon, they breathe air from tanks on their backs. They spoke to each other through radios. On the moon, the astronauts found a hard surface covered with rocky soil. There were no animals, no plants, no air, no wind, and no water. Neil Armstrong and Edwin Aldrin Jr. took some of the soil back to Earth for scientists to study. Neil Armstrong and Edwin Aldrin Jr. also took photographs of the moon and took photos of Earth from their spacecraft. They said that from far away, Earth looked just like a big blue marble. They walked on the moon. Maybe someday you or the future generation will live on the moon. This was just a short podcast on their success, and one can celebrate more by learning more about them. I hope you enjoyed this biography podcast. Now let's move on to the next celebration.